I'm Revanth, and I'm currently working as a senior engineer here at Atlassian. From the past 3 years, I've been here at Atlassian, and overall, I do have around 7.5-ish, close to experience. I write sometimes on LinkedIn.
So, how was your experience like landing your first tech job at TCS?
Got it through a competition called Code Vita. So I was able to solve a couple of problems, and then I got invited to Hyderabad for an interview process. At that point of time, 8 years ago, the DSA related content wasn't huge like it is today.
What's one habit or mindset shift you adopted that you wish you had known earlier in your career?
Ask for more work. I know that's a double-edged sword.
In the tech industry has been pretty competitive, especially with the rise of AI tools.
I definitely think there are major boost to the day-to-day development activities that I do. I use as well. Well, I think after COVID, I think every other company has gone through a major shift, I believe. So every other company do have their business requirements, and because of that, they are laying off.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Unfiltered. Today we have a very inspiring guest with us, and his name is Revanth Murigipudi. You might have seen Revanth's post on LinkedIn, but what you don't know is that he has made a remarkable journey from a small village in Andhra Pradesh and from coming from a tier 3 college to joining TCS and then eventually becoming a senior software engineer at Atlassian. Revanth has not only established himself as a content creator on LinkedIn, but he has also bagged the much prestigious LinkedIn Top Voice honor that is given to very few people in the content creation industry. Not only that, but he has also been passionately helping out hundreds of engineers in navigating their career. In today's conversation, we will be diving into Revanth's initial career challenges, how he transitioned from a tier 3 college to landing his first tech job at TCS. Then we will explore his career trajectory, like how he grew from an SDE-1 role to SDE-2, and then eventually coming to his present role as a senior software engineer at Atlassian. Revanth will share his insights on Atlassian's remote first culture, how to maintain visibility in a remote environment, how to make sure that you're continuously learning, and the essential mindset that you need in order to grow in your software engineering role. We will also discuss some of the hot topics that are trending in the industry, like the impact of AI on the software engineering job. Then we will talk about the stack ranking, performance improvement plan, how to deal with layoffs. So finally, we'll close the conversations with the personal reflections from Revanth and to understand what it means to be truly successful in the tech industry. So with that, let's jump right in. So before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, that is Frontend Lead. Frontend Lead is an amazing platform that is almost similar to Lead Code, but for front-end engineers. And here you will get to learn all about front-end system design, front-end interview questions, and you will get access to the community as well in a structured manner. Cool. So, hey Revanth, it's so awesome to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey Shreya, as you already know, I'm Revanth, and I'm currently working as a senior engineer here at Atlassian. From the past 3 years, I've been here at Atlassian, and overall, I do have around 7.5-ish, close to experience in the corporate industry as a software engineer. So, and I write sometimes on LinkedIn. So that's very briefly about myself.
Awesome. So, Revanth, I will start with your journey first. So, as you have already posted about a lot on LinkedIn about you how you come from a tier 3 college. So, I imagine that coming from a tier 3 college has its own sets of challenges, right? So, how was your experience like landing your first tech job at TCS? Was it smooth, or like did you face some bumps along the road?
Okay, so my job at TCS, I got it through a competition called Code Vita. So during my end of my third year, I was able to solve one or two problems. I don't remember how many I solved. It's been very like almost 8 years. So I was able to solve a couple of problems, and then I got invited to Hyderabad for an interview process. And afterwards, another interview process. That is exactly how I converted during my end of third ASL to my TCS. So it did definitely have its own set of challenges because at that point of time, 8 years ago, the DSA related content wasn't huge like it is today. So learning DSA and understanding DSA at that point of time like was very, very hard. We had to go through I was going through Code Chef editorials and then Code Forces editorials. Although I was not a very good competitive programmer, but just to understand a particular concept, I used to go through all of those things. So in that sense, definitely there was no structured curriculum. There is nobody to teach you how to go about it. So that one definitely was a very big thing.
Got it. So DSA was equally relevant like 6 years ago also.
Absolutely, it was relevant 8 years ago itself. So yes.
Nice, nice. So coming to your career growth, like what do you think your biggest learning has been during your transition from a SDE-1 role to an SDE-2 role? So was there any turning point that accelerated your growth?
I think one definitely. So when I joined TCS, there's nothing like SDE sort of a title over there. So it's just like you're a software engineer. That's it. And when I joined the startup, I got a title of full stack developer. And at that point, these titles were not streamlined, is what I would say. And then when our startup got acquired by Autodesk, during that point, I had around 2.5, 3-ish close to experience, and then I became a SDE2. So Autodesk being a product company, they already had some titles in place. So they turned me as a software engineer too. So when I made a switch from Autodesk to Atlassian, I looked out for SDE2 roles only because I was around 3.5 years experience and I wasn't at a senior engineering level yet. So I just looked out for SDE2, and with God's grace and my preparation, I was able to get into all these roles with SDE2 only. So that SDE1 to SDE2 transition came via job switch is what I'll mostly say. So that's mostly about it.
Got it, got it. So once you stepped into like an SD role at Autodesk, how did your day-to-day responsibilities change, and like how did you prepare yourself for this transition? Because you transitioned from a service-based company to a product-based company as well, along with a title change as well, right? So how did you prepare for that?
Uh, so the transition from the first company TCS to startup was definitely very big challenging. On the first day itself, my director was like, "Okay, we want to build something with Elasticsearch. Go and learn Elasticsearch and build a search product." So that was very bewildering for me, and I never even knew what Elasticsearch is at that point of time. That was how we worked in that startup 7 years back itself. Sorry, 6, 7 years back itself. And when I transitioned, when Autodesk acquired our company, we became employees of Autodesk, but during that entire transition phase, we were still under our own verticals. Our own startup had our own vertical, and that entire transition phase was going on. So I was moved into the ML Ops team in Autodesk, although under the same manager and the same people that I used to work with. So there I was building pipelines and some AWS Amplify related stuff for the product managers and for the machine learning engineers to visualize their data. So that's what I was doing at that point of time. I wouldn't consider it like a very big switch from the startup to Autodesk because it was during the transition phase, I was literally working under the startup only. So I was essentially working, even though I was in a product company, I was essentially working like a startup silo. So there was not much of a transition is what I would definitely say.
Got it. So, in Autodesk, so from Autodesk, you switched to Atlassian, and Atlassian is very famous for being team anywhere and embracing that remote first culture. And it all Atlassian also has a very strong engineering culture. So, how did adapting from a TCS like environment, then going to Autodesk, then moving to a fast-paced culture at Atlassian shaped your path towards becoming a senior software engineer?
Absolutely. I think there was a 180-degree shift when I came onto the set last year because I was operating under the startup sort of a vibe in Autodesk. And when I moved to Atlassian, every project MNC is process oriented. So I was really, really surprised to see how big can teams can get, how massive the code bases can get, and how huge the build pipelines and everything else and the underlying infra and everything else would get. So that itself took me quite a few months to get into the system at Atlassian. It's not like a 1 month journey. You will have to learn a lot, and that's exactly what happened with me as well. So my manager was actually very supportive, and then he gave me small tasks. Okay, learn this, you will understand this. Do this, you'll understand this. Do this, you'll understand this. Since I was just 3.5 years experience and had no idea about how these things work, so my manager helped me quite a good bit over there. And slowly, I started to understand Atlassian as a system in general.
Hmm.
And yeah, that team anywhere policy is, I think, absolutely the number one driver behind people joining Atlassian is what I feel. Because permanent remote, who else wouldn't want that? So even for a very good deciding factor when I considered Atlassian along with a couple of other options that I had. So that along with the team culture that you said, the friendliness that I have read about Atlassian drew me to this company, and I've been here for the past 3 years and 3 months, and no regrets. I'm very happy.
That's really great to hear. And I think one common question that people ask is that, like, in a remote setup, like, you're not interacting with folks in person, right? You all are interacting via Zoom, Slack, or some sort of a async tool. So, how do you ensure visibility and continuous learning in a remote working setup?
Wow. Okay, that's a deep question. I'll have to think a moment for that. How do you ensure? So one good thing that I probably became is that writing. And since I used to write a lot on LinkedIn, that came to me innately. And at Atlassian, I made the habit of writing documentation quite a lot
Hmm.
because, and on top of that, Atlassian is insanely heavy documentation sort of a company. So
Yes.
every single thing you'll be able to find out literally, even if it's like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
So that actually pushed me in order to write a lot. And whenever we write these documents, we have these sparring sessions that keep on going almost every single week in our team. So in a remote setting, we have something every week. We used to have a sparring session on some random topic that we are currently working on, some random teammate or any other person in a vertical. We used to have these sparring sessions, and we used to have sparring sessions in the leadership level also. Sometimes we do join those meetings, sometimes we see the recordings of those meetings, and then we frame how it will impact our product or our system
Hmm.
when it drills down. So those definitely helped, because when the entire team comes onto a meeting for 1.5 hour and tries to spar on the architecture or the LLD, it really helps. It boosts the entire thing. And we have social meetings that were sort of, I wouldn't say mandatory. People used to love to join because on a remote setting, you definitely want some social interaction, or else you'll go mad. So that sort of a social setting we had almost every week on the Fridays around 1 hour. And we used to play games and chit chat and then talk about each other's lives a little bit. And
Hmm.
that was actually fun. That made me closer to the teammates. And at Atlassian, we have a policy of, not policy, like the team can meet each other for a week or a few days every 6 months or 1 year. And thankfully, our managers have been extremely supportive. Over the past 3 years, I probably have been to the office like 6 times of that sort for a week. And during that week, we go to the office for the entire week. We spend from morning 9 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. And then after 5 p.m., we just chill out and crash out. And on the weekend, anyways, you are free. So that is how we bonded quite a lot. And since the current team is also built by people who have already been in the team for the past 3 years, that never actually came to my brain like, okay, maybe social thing is not my vibe, because it's
Hmm.
already built up from the past 3 years and
Hmm.
it's been working. So I don't see a reason why it shouldn't.
Got it, got it. So these sparring sessions were they like placeholder meeting invites that one can attend? Like, is that how it is?
Yes. So let's say I have something to pitch on my particular project, or
Mm.
I want to discuss on some particular architecture or a particular concept. So
Mm.
we usually have put it in the Slack channel saying, "Hey, in today's architecture sparring session, I would like to go over this. Is there anybody else who would like to take up
Mm.
on this or add upon this or any other topic you would like to go over?" Usually for 1.5 hour, and the entire team, people who are interested, usually join it. It's mostly the entire team joins because you definitely love to do these sparring sessions as an engineer. So the entire team joins and the person pitches for the first 5 to 10 minutes the entire idea. They go through the document on what they have done, what the meeting is all about, the sparring is all about, and then the discussions start flowing in. And it's not uncommon for these discussions to turn into argumentative criticism as well.
Mm.
But
Mm.
again, in the entire as a bigger picture, it's all constructive. So we talk about the pros, we talk about the cons, we talk about the flaws, we talk about where failures can happen. These sparring sessions really opened up my eye when I was in the beginning stages, because there was documentation, and it's always nice to spar on a particular document with a person
Mm.
of in that has been in the particular team for quite some time.
Mm.
So those sessions really helped me understand my team, my service architecture. if not for them, it would have taken me a little longer, is definitely what I would say.
That's really great to hear that one can grow and, ensure your visibility and learning in a remote setup as well. There are tools to make that happen. So, now coming back to your growth to senior software engineer. So, what's one habit or mindset shift you adopted that you wish you had known earlier in your career?
Ask for more work. That's literal. I know that's a double-edged sword, literally, but stay with me. So the major mistake that I did was when I joined Atlassian, I felt like, okay, if I work at my level, if I just do the work that I am getting
Hmm,
for the 1.5 year to 2 years, I will be promoted. But
hmm,
that was not the case. I realized it very soon. Not soon. It took me around 6 months to 1 year to realize that was not the case. So you have to be performing at the next level for a considerable amount of time to even be considered for a promotion. And
hmm,
that came as a shocker. I always felt like, okay, if I just write this code, if I build this feature, and people will recognize and then people will promote me. That was true in a startup setting because there's less employees and your manager knows what everybody else is working on. But
hmm,
that's not true at MNC, at these product companies, because there's like multiple people and multiple managers and the process is very huge. So what I started doing was at every one-on-one with my manager. So I used to have one-on-one with my manager every 2 weeks.
hmm,
So at that time, we have a concept of a documentation cycle, a growth cycle document. So how are we performing at the current level? What am I supposed to do at the next level? It's just like a rough blueprint. So I started going through the document, thinking, okay, what are all the points that I already am doing? What are the things that I am not doing in my current role? What
hmm,
are the things that I can do if I get a more opportunity? So I used to go with this document in the one-on-one with my manager, and I used to point out, hey, for this particular point, these are my evidences which I'm demonstrating. For this particular point, I don't think I have any evidences to support. But I would like your help in order to get me work so that I can put this evidence. And my manager, touchwood, they were very, very, very good, and they started giving me complicated tasks. So if you never ask, the answer is always a no. So I started asking, but I started asking it after 1 year, which I think I should have done it sooner than later. I did not know this was the process at fan companies or for any company for that matter. Nobody taught me. I didn't even realize that, unfortunately. But once I did that, the process became a little bit simpler. I understood how promotion cycles work and how I have to portray myself. What is the impact that I have to do? What's the project that I have to do? Which project will help me push my packet a little bit better? And once I started taking all of them into consideration with my manager feedback, then it was a little bit seamless. And I probably reiterated my entire promotion cycle document at least 20 to 25 times. And that's when but again, that was the help of my manager. He was pointing out I used to write plain sentences, but then he was the one who guided me. Okay, you cannot write very simple plain sentences. You need to write business driven outcomes because people would want to understand how my work impacted the business. So then my realization started coming in. I started writing every point as a business driven outcome.
hmm.
And I think I was promoted to the P50 in couple of years. So I've been P50 for the past 9 months at Atlassian and absolutely loving every bit of it. So
Wow, that is actually some really insightful answer, and it's so inspiring to see you also grow, like in Atlassian, and coming from such humble background to now growing in FANG company. So that's like a really, really inspiring journey. Moving on to some of the practices that are lately been happening in the tech industry. So lately, I mean, tech industry has been pretty competitive, especially with the rise of AI tools like Cursor, like Claude, Gemini, and so on. And we are regularly seeing practices like stack ranking, performance improvement plans in many companies. Being adopted. So, what's your personal take on this? Like, does it motivate you, or do you think that adds an unnecessary pressure, or like does it hamper collaboration between engineers? So, what's your take on this?
okay, that's a very controversial one, but I'll try to answer it as much as I can.
Hmm,
Um, Coming to the first part of the question, the AI tools, I definitely think they're a major boost to the day-to-day development activities that I do. Although they don't write the entire code that I do, to understand the context of one repository, multiple repositories, the configurations and everything else, they don't generate the code that I need them to anyways. And even if providing multiple prompts on an existing code base, I haven't seen them actually work. I use Claude and I use GPT as well. So I've used multiple of these. These None of these LLMs actually provided me much results on an existing code base that is humongous, because I need to build a particular feature and they don't know what is the tail, what is the start. But if I pinpoint, okay, refactor this particular method, write this in a clean way, use this design pattern, make it encapsulation, sorry, use a couple of encapsulation or abstractions or design patterns, then I have seen them doing a little bit better. So I take whatever they have done, refine it on top of it, and then put that. And one other place where they help a lot in writing is test cases. So obviously, many devs do not want to waste their time writing a lot of test cases. So I use AI to try to generate a boilerplate at least for the test case, and then the business logic I just put the assertions, and that has saved me definitely some time. I would say I'm not denying that AI is not helping, but I don't think it will replace me at any point of time, at least for the next 10 years. That I'm very sure about by seeing how they are working on large code bases. If you're building something from scratch, absolutely go for it. AI is good for vibe coding and that sort of stuff, but putting it entirely on production ready sort of a thing where you have humongous code base, it's not up to my expectations so far, which I believe it's okay. And the second point, being the stack ranking and the culture and everything else, well, I think after COVID, I think every other company has gone through a major shift, I believe. I'm just 7 years into the industry. I might be wrong, I might be right. This is just what I have been seeing. So every other company do have their business requirements, and because of that, they are laying off people again and again. And we have seen some news also coming in the past couple of days, like Intel laying out 12,000 people and TCS laying out 12,000, something like that. So I think that will continue to happen as long as what do you say, the business requirements are there. With respect to that stack ranking part, I think it's a not well, it's not talked much upon in the industry about the stack ranking and bell curve and everything else. But again, there are companies that do have this sort of a thing. There are companies that don't have that sort of a thing as well. So the way that I say it is, if in case it is there in a company where I'm currently working for, or future, or the past, I just look at it in one single perspective. Am I aligning with my manager goals? And am I providing business value? If I am in a team that is aligning with my business driven outcomes, the OKRs, I know for a fact I am not at that much of a risk. So if people are trying to join companies, try to see what are the company OKRs, try to figure out which teams add revenue to the particular company. You will be a little bit safer in those things. Again, tech is never safe, corporate is never safe. Nobody is safe at every company. You might be laid off. Hell, I might be laid off tomorrow. I don't know for a fact. But I know my layoff chances are a little bit lesser because I'm working on something that actually is adding revenue to the company. So I might not be compared to other people. So try to figure out those teams when you go on team match discussion with your managers or your recruiters, how the team is directly contributing to the OKRs and the revenue of the company. And that's mostly what I think. And I just try as much as I can in order to finish off my work and then go a little bit above the bar. Because if you are staying at that level, there is a very good chance where people will be going above the bar. And if that happens, you are the person who is probably performing at a low performance, and you will be weeded out. So it's not uncommon for people to perform at their level and go a little bit above their current level, so that you don't fall into the bottom 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, or whatever the curve fitting is about. I know for a fact I have to be better than at least 10-15%, and I know I can get it done. So I just think about it in that sense. You have to be a little bit selfish there for sure. You have to figure out, what can I do to avoid this thing. Pick up on projects that are more aggressive. Pick up on projects that add more revenue to the company. Also propagate ideas by yourself, not just your PM coming to you. Try to propagate the idea by yourself. Pitch it to your team. Hey, this is an idea that I have. This is a feature that I have. Always have a list of things that you feel you can work in your particular roadmap. Even if your PM is suggesting, always have this list so that they can understand you have a very good directional ability. If you have a very good directional ability, it's not going to be easy for them to categorize you as a low performer. This is something that I have been doing, and this is something that I have talked to many other people and started doing as well. So this is from my mentors at Atlassian, from my managers that I've been talking about. Sorry, that I've been talking to, my personal as well. So I think you can survive, but again, you should always be performing at the next level so that your chances are a little bit lesser to get laid
Hmm.
off. Like, and if in case the business decides an entire vertical isn't necessary, even though you're a top performer, there is nothing you can do about it. You will be laid off because that's a business decision.
Hmm. Right. Like, so with so many, layoffs been happening lately. So have you personally ever felt anxious about job security? I mean, you did mention that there will be no job security in a corporate job, but I'm sure that you must have had your moments of uncertainty, right? So how did you handle those moments?
Definitely, I would be an idiot if I told I have never been stressed out because obviously you are in the tech industry
Hmm.
and looking at all these layoffs, you will be stressed out. If anybody is telling me that they are not stressed out, they're probably lying to their teeth. But definitely that stresses out. But since I know for a fact I am in a team that definitely has revenue to the company,
Hmm.
and I am on a team that has projects lined up for few quarters, and I know for a fact that I already have a sort of a this roadmap where if in case some ideas don't go well, I can start pitching these ideas. So that is where I feel I'm a little bit okay-ish, so that my stress doesn't peak out a lot. And also having good financial stability removes that entire stress. So if I am laid off tomorrow, I don't care because I do have a runway to survive with for my family for almost 6 to 12 months. And I'm very sure I'll be able to get another job in 6 to 12 months. So
Hmm.
having that sort of a financial stability definitely reduces your level of stress. If anybody does not have that, I think they will be the most stressed out, unfortunately. But
Hmm.
since I'm not in that position where I put myself vulnerable to a financial risk,
Hmm.
I do not feel that stressed out compared to other people, is what I personally feel. Again, I might be wrong, I might be right. This is just my 2 cents.
So, while climbing the corporate ladder, a common thinking amongst freshers is that if you work hard and work long hours, then your growth or your promotion is guaranteed, right? So, is that the correct approach, or like, is there anything else that one needs to keep in mind?
Work smart and work hard, not just work hard. Because if you are working on projects that don't have any impact or do not have any tangible outcomes for the business,
Hmm.
like your manager cannot put forward your promotion packet also.
Hmm.
Like if it is just an engineering challenge that leads nowhere,
Hmm.
then it's not be picked when there are other potential candidates who are adding revenue to the company, who are working on features that are adding revenue to the company.
Hmm.
It's just plain mathematics, plain finance over there.
Hmm.
So if you are just working insanely hard, let's say you are refactoring the entire system, how does that even help? Does it help today or does it help 1 year down the line if in case you do something? You always have to figure out if you're working on particular thing, how does that tie to the company OKRs? If that ties to the company OKRs, you have a case that you can build upon. And if you're leading that project, you have a very strong case. If you're leading multiple people, good, you have an even better case. And if you have encountered very few engineering challenges and you have solved them directionally and you have portrayed very good excellence in terms of craft excellence and all this,
Hmm.
you can definitely put forward a packet. You can build a strong packet with the help of your manager.
Hmm.
Again, your manager should align. He should be ready to fight for you because most of the times in this calibration meeting at every company, your manager puts forward the packet and there will be rebuttals. So your manager should be able to answer those rebuttals. So your data points should be strong. Your metrics should be strong. The sentence that you form over there should be strong. The evidences that you put in for
Hmm.
that you put in that particular document should be strong so that your manager can defend for you. It's not like everybody reads the document and then takes a unanimous decision like that. No,
Hmm.
because every particular vertical or a business unit have only some budget. So if there's 100 people trying for a promotion for SD1 to SD2, and the budget for that particular business unit is only 30 promotions, obviously 70 will be rejected.
Hmm.
It's not like if you are, even though if you are insanely good, if the particular business unit or the vertical, like you get the gist, if they don't have the budget to take on more promotions, you will not be promoted at any point of time if that is the case. So you'll have to figure out if it can happen or not. Try to have some conversation with your manager
Hmm.
and see where you stand comparing to the other people that they have seen in their experience so far. If
Hmm.
it is a strong thing or a weak thing or completely low, and you have to improve upon that.
Hmm.
So SD ones, I would say, not just SD ones for that matter, even SD2s who are going for that promotion, they have to have this conversation with their manager at least 1 to 1.5 years before they go for the promotion cycle so that they can procure a lot of work and they can put a lot of evidences.
Mm.
So that's where this entire promotion cycle will impact you as an individual contributor in your career.
Got it, got it. That is actually really helpful advice. Now looking back, like what's one mistake you made early on in your journey that taught you a very important lesson, and how did you overcome that mistake, or how did you overcome or move past it?
Okay, when you say mistake in my journey, like is it uh, during the start of my career or mid, like, or at Atlassian, or what exactly? How was that?
Could be like any point of time.
Okay, I'll probably put 2 points forward because that's when I got the biggest shifts.
Mm,
So when I was joining, I knew DSA was needed, but I did not know the resources because at the point they were non-existent, very frankly, online. So if in case I had to redo things or correct things or the mistake that I made, not learning DSA was my biggest mistake because if in case I had learned it, I might not have taken 3.5 to 4 years to join Atlassian, which is one of my dream company.
mm,
But if I had done it, maybe I would have come to Atlassian 2 years before itself. I'm not sure. I'm thinking that is a mistake that I made. So if
mm,
I had to go back in the past and tell something to my younger self, this is what I'll say. Do whatever you're doing, do DSA and projects. Do DSA project. DSA projects is what I will tell my younger self. And one other mistake that I saw in the corporate industry that I personally made is, and that I see people making also, when they join a company, they delay their promotion cycle conversations to a very large extent. So
mm,
if manager is not aligned with you every couple of weeks, if you're not having frequent one-on-ones with your manager, and
mm,
then aligning them on the work that you are doing, and then how you can gather more evidences for this. If you are a person who is looking for a promotion, you have to keep doing this. And this is not something that I personally did, unfortunately. And
mm,
this is something that I realized after almost 6 months to 1 year after joining this company. And then in that 1 year, I had to work insanely much because for the previous 1 year, I did not have strong evidences that I was working at a P50 level. So I had to procure a lot of evidences that I was working at a P50 level for a considerable amount of time. And thankfully, my manager provided me a lot of work over there. So
mm,
that is one thing I would tell again to myself. That's the mistake that I made. So ever since joining Atlassian, I should have proactively asked for work that will put me at a P50 level. That is not something that I did until I realized it at a later point.
mm,
This would
mm.
be what I would change.
Wow, that is very honest actually. And I think many of our viewers will learn a lot from this mistake, and especially when they are, trying to grow in their career. So, lastly, Revant, like given such an incredible journey, how would you define success for yourself today?
Oh my gosh. I'm not even sure. Like, from my perspective, I do have the money to take care of my family
Hmm.
and I can afford trips if in case as and when I want. Not that I went on any so far. I
Hmm.
can afford that. I'm covered with my health. I'm eating good food. I'm taking care of my fitness and my family as well.
Hmm.
And I think for me, and I'm working at a company that I have dreamt of working, and I was able to crack companies that I did not even think I would receive an interview call from.
Hmm.
And I have recruiters on my email asking if in case I am ready to go for an interview with their company.
Hmm.
And I think this entire box of 5 to 6 reasons that I just told you is what I would say success is for me. It's not like one thing. It's not. I'm not gonna say just because I'm working at Atlassian as a senior, I wouldn't consider that as a success. All these factors, the money, the health, and the ability to take decisions on a whim without worrying about anything else.
Hmm.
And even if something happens to me, I know I am sorted. All these give me that mental peace, and that is what I would call myself as a success. And I won't tie it to just one particular thing. It's
Hmm.
a mixture of all these things. I know that's a little bit philosophical, but again, I don't want to come off on the wrong foot and say, yeah, I'm working at a dream company, so I'm successful.
Hmm.
That's not about it. So yeah.
No, I mean, really, like your success of definition, I think also changes with time. Like when you are very fresh in your, career, like at that time, your metric of success is probably earning more or, getting placed into a good company. And as you further grow in your career, then I think balancing your personal life also becomes one of a important like metric for success. So Raven, thank you so much for sharing such insights about your journey, and being so candid and like candidly like sharing your insights, and sharing about your journey, your mistakes, and your reflections. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Raven. It was really nice talking to you.
Likewise, Shreya. Thank you so much for taking me on this call and asking me some tough questions that I never probably realized so far. So definitely, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.